Yo, what's up, family? Y'all got a nice educational one for you today. And this one here, I'm going to name this one Negus. You know, the word, let me spell it out for you. Negus. Now, of course, I know it sounds like nigger, and that's why I'm doing this video, to give you the education and the origin of that word. We hear a lot that we know it sounds so negative, nigger, but it really comes from the word negus. Now, I know a lot of y'all heard it before, and some of you haven't. And even the ones that have heard it, I'm going to give you a little different spin and perspective and some more education on the word. So now let's go to the definition of the word. That will be actually the word of the day as the title of the video as well. Negus. So now if you look up the word negus, which is Negus, now they added an additional to it, some hot water lemon juice, but that's not it. The origin of that word is Ethiopian king. But before I go further, you got to remember, when I say Ethiopian king, at one time, the whole continent of Africa used to be called Ethiopia. It used to be called Kush. It used to be called many names. But at one time, the whole continent of Africa was called Ethiopia. So when I say Negus, it is an African king, a.k.a. Ethiopian king, a ruler, or someone who reigns supreme of a land. And if it's a female Negus, Negus, it will be pronounced Negusite or Negusita. That would be a female ruler or king, but in this case, obviously queen. There have been many queens over the years that ruled with the iron fist and beat the Dutch, the Portuguese, and all that. Many great leaders. But anyway, that would be for the female. We call it Negusita. However, you say tomato, I say tomato. So, some pronounce it with an E at the end, some with an A at the end. Negusita. But remember, the origin of this video is Negus, Negus, which is an Ethiopian king, ruler, or someone who reigns supreme. Speaking of that word Negus, remember, we're going to get into how it evolved into the word nigger, right? But before we get into that, I remember quite a while ago, there was a video that had went viral. It was of a spelling bee. And it was a little Caucasian kid. When he got up to spell, they gave him the word Negus. And when he heard the word that he had to spell, he immediately put his head down, like in shame almost. Like, it was almost like you could read his mind, like, I can't believe it, they're giving me this word to spell. And he was so nervous to spell it that he did the right thing. He asked him, could you give me the origin of the word? Because then this will help him. And then he told him the origin comes from Africa. And then he said, could you use it in a sentence? He said, and then they told him, in a sentence, it's an Ethiopian king or ruler. And then he kind of thought, well, I hope I get this right. And then he went to spell it. He said, N-E, because at first he was thinking N-I-G-G-E-R. But he said N-E, he was reluctant at that point. Then he said G, and just before he said U-S, it was almost like he just said it and said, I know I lost. So he said N-E-G-U-S. And when he said that, all of a sudden the bell said, ding, which means correct. And they said, that is correct. And immediately the boy was like, he had that look on his face like, I got it right. He was so shocked. So I had to tell you that because now you know a little bit more about that word Negus. But now let's get into how it wound up turning so negative by the colonizers. And the way it turned from something so positive, because this is what they do great. They take something that's so positive and they turn it to something really ugly and negative. And this is how it started. When they first started going over to Africa to steal people for slavery, when they first got off those ships and they seen the lush land of Africa, they seen all the fruits and vegetables in abundance. When they seen all the minerals and all the natural resources and all the docile, loving people and how they were so natural and loving with each other. Like, wow, look how they just really are really loving, great people. And unfortunately, they was loving, caring, and very giving to those colonizers. That's where they went wrong. But when they seen all these minerals, natural resources, and the lush land and this beautiful land, it was really jealousy from the colonizers. A great deal of jealousy. And they seen their kings, how they was referred to as Negus. And they seen them up on their thrones and with all their minerals and their diamonds and the jewelry and all that. And they said, wow, well, we got these guns. We can overpower them. And look how nice and docile they are. You know what? Now we're going to strip them of any and all their greatness and their dignity. And instead of calling them Negus, Negus, we're going to get rid of the E and replace it with an I and put an extra G-E-R on the end. Get rid of US. So instead of them calling them something positive and great, Negus, an Ethiopian king, a.k.a. African king, we're going to call them nigger. They was the ones that changed that. Like I said, take something they really positive and great and uplifting and make it something negative. Now, what does the word nigger? Because remember, they made this up. And they made the definition for it, which is in dictionaries to this day. Now, when you look up the word nigger, what does it mean? Dumb, ignorant, uneducated, poor, animalistic, dangerous. So once again, you see it goes right back to how they took the word negus, which was positive, uplifting, great king, an emperor, a ruler. They took something positive and they turned it to something negative, dumb, ignorant, uneducated, poor, nigger. Negus, positive, to nigger, negative. Now, here's a crazy thing about that. You even have people sometimes they go, oh, well, they call each other that. They call each other nigger. I remember I was watching an episode, Judge Faith, one day, and the plaintiff and her husband, they was behind on their rent. And the white plaintiff and her white husband was behind on their rent, multiple rent months behind. And the black defendant who owns the building, he was like, I can't believe they taking me to court when they the one that owed rent and they destroyed my property. The defendant came to court with his receipts, pictures, audio, and all to prove not only they was behind their rent, that they was destroying their property. Then he even told the judge, Your Honor, he showed all the proof which was going in his favor. Then he said, Your Honor, even this lady even made it personal that went beyond just her rent being due. She even yelled at me one day. Remember, like I said, they took a positive out of jealousy. When they seen the lush lands and fruits and vegetables and minerals, they were so jealous of seeing these negus. And they said, we're going to turn to something negative. We're going to take all their fruits and vegetables and their lands and their minerals, and we're going to take it over to Europe that don't have no natural resources. We're going to take all their stuff and then look at them and say, y'all poor. Y'all need to get yourselves together. Isn't that something? It's amazing how they take all our stuff from Africa, take it over there, which they don't got no natural resource. They steal everything and then say, we the poor ones. This is what they do. And that's what this lady was doing in court. She was sitting there really jealous of this black man who owned the building where she rent from. So she yelled at him and said, you know what? You ain't going to be nothing but a nigger all your life. What that got to do with her rent being due? Your rent is due. So he said to the judge in the courtroom, Your Honor, she even made this personal and said that I will be nothing but a nigger for the rest of my life. They ain't got nothing to do with her rent. So when the judge asked her, did she say that? She said, I never said that. I never said. She went on and denied it. The guy said, I got an audio to prove it. They played the audio in court, and it, sure enough, loud and clear, you could hear her saying it. And at that very moment, the lady said, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I said that. I really apologize. And her husband spoke up and said, Your Honor, but you got to understand, they call each other that. She said, what? The judge corrected him right quick. She said, they call each other that as a term of endearment. See, it's like saying in Spanish, my hombre, right? My pana, mi pana. You know, or like saying, mi hermano. Or it's like me saying, yo, my homeboy, my dude. Yo, what's up, my guy? Yo, man, this is my friend. Yo, what's up, man? Yo, but some people say, yo, what's up? Yo, this is my nigga right here. See? Now you say, well, why would they use that negative word when colonizers, white people, said nigger means dumb and uneducated and poor? No, because the truth of the matter, they never really lost that word of positive or what it means. Some just have to be re-explained what it means. But they never really lost, wait, this comes from a positive thing. It just, they named it nigger. So it was negus. meaning African Ethiopian king, ruler, emperor, right? So that's why a lot of them still use that. So I love how the judge corrected him like, no, they use that as a term of endearment, not nothing negative. Speaking of that, I'm gonna give you a perfect example. Term of endearment. Yeah, like the guy said, they call each other that. They even say it in songs. He right. Because when they say it in songs, let's take a rap artist, for example. One that I like a lot, DMX. One of his songs. I remember one of his songs is called, even though he used it a lot, I remember one of his songs is called exactly that, My Nigga. And listen to these lyrics. Remember, it's a term of endearment. We never quite lost the real origin of that positive word, even though white colonizers turned it to something negative, nigger. We use it that way and turn it back and uplift it up for us. But look at DMX song called My Nigga. Now listen to the lyrics. Like he said, here we go. It goes something like this, if I can remember. It goes, just cause I love my niggas, I shed blood for my niggas. Let a nigga holler with my niggas. All I want to hear is right here, my niggas. And then all of a sudden the beat drop. You know how it goes. Some niggas that you don't want to try, my niggas. Some niggas that I really do or die, my niggas. Well, have you cowards ready to cry, my niggas? You see what I'm saying? Tell me they ain't know. And I put a banging beat with that. Y'all know how the song go. My niggas, my niggas. See, you just using it as a term of endearment. Yeah, I know some would say, man, but there's still an ugly word. But you got to remember where its origin come from. See, we have never really forgotten where the meaning behind it. It's almost like a deja vu moment for some people to go, wait a minute, no, that's our word. They just turned it to something negative, which they always do all the time. They take what we got, our resources and minerals, and they take it for themselves and then say we ain't got nothing, we poor. They take everything positive we got and then they put a spin on it or put their face on it or they turn it to something negative, nigger. But it was a positive word, Negus. So yo, what I would say in closing, a lot of y'all have heard that word before or may not, or the ones that have, now you heard it from a different perspective that makes even more solid foundation of understanding. So what I would say to a lot of y'all out there, learning and understanding the history, the translation, and the transition of that word from Negus to Neger, and the origin of that word, Negus, Ethiopian, aka African king. When you understand the origin, it helps us to have a better understanding. And that was the whole purpose of me doing this video, because we all heard that word out in the street before. Yo, what's up, my nigga? Yo, these my niggas right here, like DMX said. Some niggas that you don't want to try, my niggas. But hey, hope y'all appreciate it, learn something new. But check this out. I got another video coming after this one, where it's going to touch on this just a little bit, but it's going to be something totally different, something you're going to be shocked about. How these colonizers, as always, take something so great and powerful and positive, and they put a spin on it and turn it to something ugly and negative. I'm not even going to tell you what that video is going to be, but it's going to be my next video. Be prepared. I'm going to shock you with this one. Peace. Subscribe, share, like, and comment. Peace. Niggas, my niggas, Negus, Ethiopian African king. Remember the origin of that word. It's something positive, uplifting. African king, Negasite, Negasita, African queens. Look how great we were. Look at us. Just look at us. Look how great we were. Remember that. Just the greatness of our African king. Look at them. And look at our African queens. Look at them. Look how great they are. Be proud. Peace.